Sit back, relax. Try to maintain your composure. You are about to become connected.
Hello everybody, welcome to the Connect Podcast, episode number 15.
14. No, 15.
15.
I'm sorry.
15, and today we have Michael Jeffery with us.
Hello Tessa, hello Sean, hello listeners.
Hello, Michael. So today we have Michael on because he is an interesting performing arts character throughout Melbourne and has done lots of things, like being in the Comedy Festival for Melbourne, like I think written shows for that, 7 different shows,
Yeah.
the 7:30 report. Just told us then that he's been in a plane
What
with
TV
refugees.
shows have you been in? You were on in this Good Morning... what was it?
Oh yes, I was on Good Morning Australia. That was I was involved with a sort of a theatre restaurant for children called the Fairy Forest. In fact, there's a way of linking that into the Comedy Festival, which we
Right.
might get onto later on.
Lots of segues.
Oh yes. Well, that was I was one of the original cast members there, and Good Morning Australia covered the venue and did a story on it, so that's how I got to be on Good Morning Australia. But I've done quite a bit of telly over the years, Blue Healers and Pizza, and before the game I had a lovely... Yes, I was... The regular viewers of Blue Healers will remember Jeremy Cooley's character as the interfering journalist Tony Timms. Jeremy had a part on Stingers, and
Nice.
they realised he was going to be unavailable for some episodes, and so they wrote into the script that his character, who was a journalist, had a nephew who was also a journalist,
okay, so
pretty much the younger version of the same
Could
part.
fill in for him.
Perfect.
Exactly. So they brought in various comedy types around Melbourne to audition to be sort of the fill-in journalist, and I got the gig. Unfortunately, Jeremy, or fortunately for Jeremy's sake, I suppose, he was not as unavailable as they originally thought he might be, so I only did 1 episode and paid for 2, seen in 1. So it pops up every now and then, and it's on DVD.
How much are you interested? How much do you get for an episode?
It varies a lot. But
Surely,
you're looking at... It also depends on whether they're buying the DVD rights. So I made that in 2001.
Right.
And DVDs weren't as popular then as they are now. And we
Sure.
certainly didn't have the loading, which is now current in drama, for online.
Yeah.
The streaming, very few people still had dial-up in 2001.
Yeah, good point. Yeah.
So it varies, but you're looking at low 4 figures usually for a guest
Sure.
spot on a
Yeah.
commercial
Per
television.
episode.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
per episode. Oh,
And how much of your time would that take to film it?
Well, let's think. Well, mine was interesting because they had different days depending on which sets they were using. For example, the bar set was shot on a different day to the police station set, even though they're opposite each other. So I think I only had 1 scene in the police station, and so that was being called in to do 1 scene for 1 day, and you were getting a day rate.
Yeah.
So I wasn't complaining about that.
Sure, yeah.
And then we had location work out at Williamstown area, I seem to remember.
That's why I grew up in Williamstown, and
Ah.
Blue Hills was always filmed at the primary school there.
Right.
Yeah, so that's my claim to fame. Sometimes I have to vacate our primary school classroom.
You
so
said
they could go in
right.
there and film.
Oliver Twist was.
No, Round the Twist was also
Round the
filmed
Twist.
there.
Oh,
Love
yes.
the fucking
Yeah.
Twist.
Yes. You see round the twist on a lot of bios. You look at actors who were working in the 80s.
We're in Round the Twist.
And we're in Round the Twist and Quigley Down Under and
Quigley Down
Quigley,
Under.
two Ronnies Down Under and all that sort of
Skippy.
thing. It's Skippy, yes.
And Neighbours.
No,
the Neighbours are still
the Saddle
going.
Club. I've got a really good friend who's an actor, and his
Saddle
first
Club.
gig was the Saddle Club.
Oh, yes.
I don't know any of that because I was brought up in Queensland and we had
the
that
Saddle
stuff.
Club in Queensland.
I don't know. I remember it's a knockout. It's a knockout.
Oh, yes.
This shit. That was awesome. 6 a.m. on a Saturday morning, and there's these people dressed in massive blow up costumes, like massive, like story high blow up costumes, and they just used to have to run through these gauntlets of these massive people that just barged them.
Really?
Yeah, smashed them.
I remember at Melshall, and I remember phoning or having my mother phone because it was so many years ago because I wanted to be in the audience for It's a Knockout. I was very disappointed to find out it wasn't shot in Melbourne, so I couldn't go.
Was that an Australian thing?
There was, yes, shot in New South Wales, I think.
New South Wales,
and then they recently did another version which they shot in Malaysia.
That is a Saturday night program. If that was to be be remade, that would be like a Hey It's Saturday thing. I think the kids would be all over it. It was an amazing. I had fond memories of it. Definitely.
Do you remember Amazing? That was a cool show.
Now that was a quiz, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
it's
The gentleman
little kids-
with blonde hair hosted it from
Was it?
memory.
Am
I thinking of the right
them
man?
running through a maze and they had to find the keys and stuff.
Oh no, yeah, it was like and those little things used to come out of the hole, like
And they had to press the things and stuff.
Oh, yes.
And then you watch it, you can see a little key in the corner of the TV. You're like, the key's there!
No,
You can't see it, you idiot!
Yes,
It's
I
right
do
in
remember
front of
that.
you!
Yes.
Yeah.
What shows now? Like I think what takes over now, especially for younger kids, is like ABC 24 and that sort of thing. A lot of comics and not too much. A lot of comics like I'm looking at from my sister's point of view with a lot of younger children, and they're only in grade 2 or 3, and younger. So, but ABC 24 is it? It's
In the morning. with
sorry,
the
my
cartoons.
mistake. ABC. I'm
Yeah,
looking
ABC
at
2,
News
you
24. ABC 2. ABC for kids. It's
Things that you
like
want kids watching
it's for like
ABC
6
24.
hours in the morning and 6 hours in the night. Like whenever sort of the kids are home, just put that on and they're good to go. They just sit there. I love it. But I don't know. Are there many like game shows for kids anymore? I don't know.
Oh, that's a good question. I haven't auditioned for any recently.
Have you written any shows?
I can't say I've written for any of them either recently, so whether there are or not, I could not
ask
ask
him
It's not
the wrong
Mike's
person.
Your
specialty.
next guest might be able to tell you about
asking the
that.
wrong person. Our guests unfortunately don't know much about kids shows.
Oh, well. All right. Well, that's cool. She's been on
That's good.
quite a few different shows.
Quite a few.
Quite a few.
Yeah.
And 7:30. What did you do for the 7:30 report?
That was the workshopping of a play called Che Vong Vong. Tony Lee Neung, who some of your listeners might remember from Romper Stomper. He had a play he was developing. Che Vong Vong in Vietnamese is the Vietnamese title. It means running in circles. And he brought in a group of Melbourne actors to help workshop the piece, and I was one of those. And the 7:30 report came along and did a piece all about this development of this new play.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
nice.
cool. Oh, that's good. What was Good Morning Australia? The one with that Bert guy? Is that what?
Bird.
Bert
Bert
Newton.
Newton?
That
Is
was Good Morning Australia.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
of the
yeah.
right show.
We didn't get to see Bert himself. Michelle Downs, who of course was one of the Miss Australia people way back when, probably when Amazing was on. She came out to do the piece at the Fairy Forest about the Fairy Forest, which I say was like a theatre restaurant for children. Mm-hmm. And it was as a result of my involvement that I became involved with the Comedy Festival.
Oh, okay.
One of the original cast members there, apart from me, was a lady by the name of Samantha Stone.
I know her. Is she on ABC now?
She may well be. I haven't run into Samantha in a while.
I know.
That name sounds really familiar, like news-wise.
Well, she was a member of a group called the Toasted Marshmallows, and what the D-Gen was... Oh, I'm glad when the title gets a laugh. I wasn't a member of them, but it used to give me a laugh, the title. The D-Gen were, in the 80s, at Melbourne University, a comedy group, and the Toasted Marshmallows was a somewhat similar comedy group at Monash University in the early 1990s. The most famous member of which, of course, was Jo Bailey, as she was then.
Yeah, I know Jo Bailey. Yeah.
Yes, well, of course, she changed...
personally.
Oh, right.
Not
Of course,
personally.
she changed her name because there was the Jo Bailey on Sale of the Century and the hairdressing Jo Bailey.
Right.
She changed her name to Jo Stanley, and I gather has had a bit of
Stanley.
success on Fox FM
Yeah,
or one of them.
yeah, she actually, because we used to work in a bar together, Sean and I, and
Mm-hmm.
we used to run some of the Comedy Festival shows on a Wednesday night at the bar because
right.
it was a good space, it was in the city.
Right.
And one of the shows was Jo Stanley's show.
Well, Jo Stanley and Adam Hills ran them there fairly consecutively.
Yeah.
I see, I
So
see.
Yeah,
She'd come over
yeah.
every week, do little rehearsals, and we'd have to, watch. And it was, oh my god, that song she'd just sing over and over again. It was so
yes.
annoying. Anyway,
I don't remember it.
you don't remember that?
Nah, I don't. Nah.
At all?
I remember
Just
some
wipe that
Adam.
from your memory.
Nah,
I
I just,
remember that
you know,
really well.
I have a selective memory. I keep in what I need. And the rest,
And then
there's
Vanessa,
only so much room. Okay.
Vanessa made really good friends. A bartender of ours made good friends with her, and now she works at Fox. I don't know if that was because of that connection, but anyway.
It could well be. You never know.
Who knows? Anyway,
But before all
Joe
that, she was Jo Bailey originally at Monash with the Toasted Marshmallows, and I didn't know her very well, but I certainly knew Sam, who was the other female member of the troupe, through the Fairy Forest, which, as I say, was like a theatre restaurant for children. So anyone listening to this who had a birthday party between 1993 and 1996 in Armadale, there's a good chance you'll have a photo of me somewhere in your photo album dressed up as a wizard or a pirate.
Smiling, a dirty wizard in the background.
Smiling away and looking as if it was all happening for the first time. But of course, it's the same material 300 or 400 times.
Yeah.
400 times.
That must get really draining. Like, so you're saying the same jokes or the same, like,
It's the same
lines.
routine, yes.
Same routine.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, you know, it's sort of similar to what a lot of people do in their day-to-day jobs. You know, they go in, you go into your office, pull up your emails, you go through the same routine day in, day out, except you're performing and
But if you're presenting a joke, you know, you've got to, like, it sounds like it has to come out for the first time, otherwise it's not going to be funny. If it sounds like
certainly,
you've said it
has to
before,
come out in a way.
right? Do you find that difficult? Have you done stand-up comedy?
I do cabaret. I don't do stand-up as such, but there's similar. There's patter in cabaret.
Yeah.
Well, it's to give you the impression that it's the first time. Of course, with children, one of the reasons you could keep doing the same material is they grow up. I mean, you only have your 7th birthday once.
Yeah.
So next year it'd be a new group of people who could do the same material.
Target audience is very narrow.
Exactly. So I saw the connections that Sam was building, because when she was still there, she was doing work with the Toasted Marshmallows, and they just started to go into the comedy festival. And I thought, that mightn't be a bad thing to do. It might be able to get connections, and it might help one's career progress. And so eventually I did the same.
It's a huge event. It's massive. Isn't it one of the biggest comedy festivals around the world? Apart
Yes,
from Montreal?
I think it's one of the big 3, Edinburgh, Montreal and Melbourne.
Yeah. You work with the Melbourne Comedy Festival at the moment, or like you're writing stuff for it at the moment?
I have a couple of shows in development. I don't know if either of them will end up with the Comedy Festival. They may not. My last 2 shows I did with the Comedy Festival, getting back to Blue Heelers, as one of the former script editors on Blue Heelers, Sandy Fairthorne, who had a feature film script and a television project she was working on, and I got a gig in each of those. One as a sort of a Pete Smith announcer type character, without any references to copper art.
Pete Smith.
And I'm showing my age there. John Deeks is a warm-up man.
John Deeks.
Pete Smith, well, he's done a great many things, but he was the voice, the announcer on The Sale of the Century.
That's a good voice.
Yes.
He's got some vocal cords,
He certainly. I saw him the other night.
Sale of the Century.
That's the one.
That's it.
Yes. I saw him the other night on Miff Walker's
Household
show.
voice. Yeah.
He's involved with that as well. So for listeners who are watching the reruns of Miff Walker's show, you'll see Pete Smith there if you
I forgot to
aren't familiar with who he is. Anyway, so they were the last 2 shows I did for the Comedy Festival. But I found a number of the shows I've written that were done at the Comedy Festival have lives after the festival. They're published by the ASC in Tasmania, Australian Script Centre. And so other people do them, and sometimes I turn up unannounced and see productions of them and get surprises, and sometimes they're pleasant surprises, sometimes they're unpleasant surprises.
What do you mean?
Well, I turned up at one less than an hour's drive from where we're sitting, unannounced, and I hasten to add these were lovely people, and they actually did a very good job, but the director came up to me and said, when you said booking was in Jeffrey, are you Michael Jeffery, the writer of the play? I said, yes. He said, now I hope you don't mind. We know you wrote the leading part as a vehicle for you. We've actually cast a woman. Put a very different slant on the play.
It's a whole different story.
It did, but it actually worked. And she won an award for it. So I mentioned all this to the publisher. And so I'm very glad that they did, because it's been able to be produced by more companies. If they didn't have a man that was right for the part, we can say to them, well, look, it has been played by a woman.
So is that how you get, you make your living from royalties of things that you write and then when people decide to perform them, they buy the rights and so on and so forth?
I get some income from that, but I do all sorts of things. I mean, if I look at what I've done in the last even in the last month, I was in a mock hospital at a university campus playing a doctor about 10 days ago. This was for people who were medical students, who are medical students, but were only 8 hours into learning how to become a doctor.
Yeah,
and they'd
8
set up
hours.
this fake hospital with actors playing the doctors.
Oh, that's cool.
And the students playing patients and carers to learn what it was